Hey guys, so I've done kind of the intro to the video, but what I wanted to do is, with 8th edition dropping, I needed to make some more basically cover, especially for our battlefields. And what I need to do is I need to start working together, maybe putting together some trees. As you can tell, I've already done about 3 of these, but I kind of wanted to go through my process on how to do it. So I went to my local hobby store, Hobby Lobby, used my coupon, and I picked up some Woodland Classics trees. I think these would be pretty cool, but I always need something to base them on. So I cut out a 1/8 inch this MDF board, this stuff I picked up at Home Depot. And so I cut out like little bitty round type square pieces so I can mount those trees on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up the trees and start mounting them. Yep. I wanted to go with something a little different. I had the green ones here, but I needed to go with something just a tad bit different, so I went with these birch type ones. They are called, what are these? I think they're birch. But, so they were like a couple dollars, wasn't too bad, expensive on price. I think after I used my 40% discount, I think they came out to roughly, I don't know, like 10 bucks or something. I bought a whole bunch of other stuff too. And we'll get to that when I start working on some other stuff, but some more terrain. So go ahead and throw all that off to the side. And what I'm going to do is I got Gorilla Glue here. It's the original Gorilla Glue. I'm going to get a little bit of water. It needs a little bit of water, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, just dip my finger and just put a little bit of water there on the bottom. What you want to do is it says to get a little wet, so I'm just going to, got a little water on my finger, so I'm just going to do on the bottom of all these, make it a little wet. Just like that. So everything's a little wet now, and then get my Gorilla Glue. Does kind of expand a lot, so it says there's different ways of using it, but it says you're supposed to hold it down and really on there, but I'm just gonna pretty much just dump a whole bunch of Gorilla Glue on here. Nice good amount there. Place it right in the center, as you can see there. You'll see some start coming out, that's fine. I'll do it on all 3. That's one more to do. Some out there. Just stick it right on there. And what I'll do is I'll probably actually let this, they're supposed to let it dry for 24 hours. So the next time you see me, it'll be 24 hours later as all this dries, and then I'll start basing a little bit more of this, kind of make it go similar to this. As you'll see in here, you'll see all the different rocks. I'll put some rocks on there and some basing material like that, so we'll get those all based up. And then what I'll do is after that we'll go on to the next step, guys. So I will see y'all tomorrow. For y'all to be like 5 seconds though. So hey guys, so got them all glued on now. You can tell they're all on there, not really moving. Works really well. So now I'm going to use some, I need to put some bigger rocks on there. So I've got some stuff from Gale Force 9. It's the it's kind of the concrete stuff. They just basically break off whole pieces of concrete. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on this bad boy right here. I'm going to get some super glue out. I don't know, if I don't know what to use, then super glue is probably the best thing I need to use. So usually I use a lot of super glue, so I'm just going to just like that, just stuff everywhere. Just dab the super glue on there where I want to glue some big rocks. Glue about 3 of them on there, I guess, just so I can get a better idea of what I'm working with here. Just pop them on there. And that one looks good right about there. Just like that, that'll give some added texture and color. And what I do is I have some medium ballast with salt whatever. It's kind of a fine grain right here. You can kind of see it. Mostly fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use, you know, they have PVA glue and all the other stuff. I like to use old wood glue, so works up pretty well. Did all my bases on my Obsidian Knights with this, and I've had them for roughly 10 years now on some of those models, and it hadn't really come off, so I'll say it's good enough. So just dab some glue around here. I need to get it up on. Matter here, just glob that stuff on. Doesn't really matter. And I got an old dry brush here. What I'll do with it is I'll go ahead and use it to splatter everything around in here. Try to miss where the super glue is. I don't really need that on there. Just like that. Just kind of spread it around on there. Smear it around all everywhere. Get it all up on that base. I want to make it so it's kind of look like it's mostly in grass and rock and other things like that. So do the same thing over here, just spreading the glue all around. That's the dog drinking some water. There you go, Spiko. Like that, we get it all mostly in here. Try to get it all on the edges and everything. That's done. Good old-fashioned dipping in here. Just dip it all up in here. Just glue on there. What I usually like to do is I kind of tap it, gets all the excess off. I kind of wipe across the edges, just like that. It's all pretty much based up. Kind of see it here, based up, everything like that. Based up, and now what I'm going to do is I've got some other Gale Force 9 stuff that I use. It's kind of this hobby scenic stuff. They're medium ones. So what I'll do is I'll get some of that. Really? No, be quiet. What I'll use is I'll use super glue on that too as well. So like I said before, I'll get some super glue. What I'll do is I'll dab that and put that in certain areas that I want a whole bunch of the rocks. Around like this area is a good place. So just like that, I'll dump out a crap ton of super glue. I'll just grab some of these rocks and just kind of throw them on there, so we can kind of give it a definitely a more of a rock feel. Like there's some pebbles and some other things in there. And I'll just dab some glue on there just to make sure it'll seep through and actually go around and stick. Probably get another place right in here. Position the rocks in there. And looks like another good spot right here on this. There's kind of a missing spot in here. So not quite as much, but just a little bit. In there. Just like that. And starting to look very similar to this with the rocks and everything on there. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next two of them. I'll be back after I get those two done, and then we'll move on to the next step where I'll usually I like to use paint on primer. I don't want to go out and spray these because I don't want to get all the primer and stuff, and then I'll come back and we'll paint them up. I'll use lots of browns, earth tones to get them all painted up, and then Hey guys, so I am working on the next part of the tree. So I basically right now I've painted on the Imperial primer, or just a primer, so I get it all nice and neat. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with Rhinox hide here, get it all shaken up, and I'm just going to lob it on to where all the spots are you see that are basically the non-rock pieces. So let's get out a brush here real quick. We'll get this madness going. You get a really old brush here because it really doesn't matter because you're going to be painting terrain. So I would get an old brush, kind of a bigger brush, so that way you can paint everything up really quickly. So I'm going to start off with Rhinox hard and I'm going to slowly build up. So just like that, I'm going to get a lot of paint on here and I'm just going to start smattering it down there. Just like so. It's going to be a pretty thin coat to begin with, which is fine. We're actually going to do about 2 layers of it. So you'll actually probably, after this dries, well, I have the other one to paint as well. So not too worried about letting this dry, but I'm just going to get it all on there, get it all nice and paint it all over here and everything like that. And then of course I'm going to paint the edges and stuff so the edges kind of blend in as well. So just go ahead and keep on working on that, guys, if you're going to do this. Not too much. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the camera and I will continue this on with the next color, guys. Well, guys, I wanted to show you something else too. So I got everything painted up. So even though I'm using an old brush right here, I got my brush cleaner. I do like to go ahead and clean off my brush in between each time I switch to paints, just to make sure that I can, get all the stuff off. And usually what I do is I use my fingers and I kind of work it through because it is kind of a soapy substance, just to make sure you can get all the other evil and gross stuff off there that you got from your last paint. Even though it's an old brush, still worth doing it. And then basically what you do is you go ahead and wash it off. What's up, FNP? So I'm on to my next color. I'm going to use Mornfang Brown. As you can tell, this is a very old bottle of paint. This is probably at least 12, maybe even 13 years old, to be honest with you. So get it all shaken up here. And what I'm going to do is I just want to put another good coat on the entire model. Over my terrain that I just got done painting. And I'm just going to use that, and I just want to go ahead and get the entire, I'm kind of working up to a light sand shade. So what I want to do is I want to use this color to kind of brighten it up. As you can tell, a lot of times it is easier to build up than it is to go straight to a really light color on a darker surface. So I'm just going to go ahead and just get this all started here. I'm going to get most of it painted up as best as I can, get a nice good layer over on it. So just like that, getting a good layer on there. As you can tell, this is not something you're being precise or pristine with at all. You were just globbing on paint because, to be honest with you, this is terrain. Terrain, you don't want it to look any better than the models on the table. So the best way to do that is just throw the paint on there, kind of get it all on there, get it mostly smoothed out. But if it clumps up in places and looks darker in places, it's not really going to matter because eventually we're going to wash all this stuff. So it's mostly all just going to tighten up, and it's going to look pretty good once we get done. So just like that, it's mostly on there. As you can tell, it is kind of dark, kind of grimy, but you know, we are working on terrain, so it's no big deal. I'm gonna wash off your brush, and as soon as this dries, I'm gonna move on to the next layer of paint, which is definitely gonna be a lighter color, and we're gonna dry brush it on there, and then we're gonna do a wash real quick, and that should give us that sandy type mud looking kind of terrain we're going for. Well guys, I got both the trees painted up. As y'all may know, the video I think started out with 3. My youngest dog got a hold of one of them and ate one, so now I only have 2 trees. I'm a little mad about that, but that's a later on discussion we're going to talk about. So, next is going to be Karik stone. I want to get something mostly on the white spectrum, but a little bit on the bleach, a little bit on the tan spectrum. So I really do want to go with the bleach bone or anything like that, or not. It's not bleach bone now. What is that called? Ushabti bone. Jesus, y'all can definitely tell I'm an old school painter here. So, if you actually take a look, the paint is not really dry, but that is good. I don't really want it that dry. I want it to kind of blend in and mix in and kind of all dry together, so it'll give us a lot of texture areas, especially when I put on the last coats, when we wash it with Agrax Earthshade to give it a little darker texture. So I'm just going to try to just drag it right across, just like this. Not really pressing too hard. I kind of took a little paint off, but I'm just dragging it basically across, getting that paint back on there, dragging it. It's not really a dry brush, and I'm gonna probably do this 2 times. So you can tell I'm just dragging it across, trying to get a different look and a different color. So get some more on there, kind of dry a little off. Nice, good texture on there. As you can tell, even though I put that one coat on there, you can see it's a lot of different tones and a lot of different textures you're getting on there. So I'm going to go ahead and off and do the other one, and when I get done doing the 2 coats that I'm going to be doing, I'll come back and I'll show you all the finished product before I wash it. So actually after that first coat, I really didn't like how the effect was kind of turned out, so I'm actually going to go with the layer of Screaming Skull. I want to go a little bit lighter, so it'll give it a nice brown effect, especially when you add the Aggrass Earth Shade to it. So same thing, getting a little bit on here, putting it on my painting palette right there, just kind of brushing over, just getting a little, yeah, that's what I want to see. Nice little, just getting multiple shades on here. Yeah, that's definitely what I'm looking for. On here, yep, same thing. Just this nice areas, getting a little dark, lighter shades on there. Put that in there. Yeah, definitely getting some different textures on there. Okay, so now it's definitely time to go to the Aggrass Earth Shade. Our favorite stuff washes next. Well, guys, it's on to the Aggrass Earth Shade. Aggrass Earth Shade, yeah. I think that's how you pronounce it. Don't quote me on that. So I'm gonna start out with this bad boy right here. You can tell it's got a lot of color and a lot of texture, so all that wash is gonna do is darken it up and just give it a new kind of color. So yeah, you're just gonna basically pile it all on there. It's going to be pretty thick. It's going to take a while to dry, but hey, we're painting terrain here. This is the fun part of painting. You just kind of throw everything on there and just paint. There's no delicate. It's not like I'm painting an intricate model right now. I'm just painting terrain. Nothing funner than painting terrain. Just like that. We throw it all on there. That is all on there. Let's go on to the next one over here. You can tell the same thing. We got a lot of different colors and textures. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw all that Aggrass Earth Shade. Sometimes these things, man, they close on you. Just like that. Let's get a nice. Darken it up a little bit. And there we go. Just like that. I don't always say that, but anyways. So, got it all dried on there. We're going to let it dry. And then the next session I'm going to do is we're going to work on painting the rocks. And the rocks are going to be a 3-stage process. We'll get started on that as soon as that dries. Hey guys, so now it's time to paint some rocks. I got an old Citadel standard base brush, and we're going to be using Eschen Gray. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over the rocks, kind of a light manner, and we're just going to paint all the rocks pretty much, and kind of do a base coat of them. So like that, just going to basically paint them up just like that. And I'm going to get all the rocks I basically can. So this may take a little time, so I'll probably just wind up getting this one. And you're actually going to have to do 2 thin coats, because in order to get a good coverage on it and make sure they're gray, you need to get a good 2 coats on there. So you don't got to be as careful, because we are painting terrain, but I'm going to go ahead and go over all these rocks. As soon as I get done doing my 2 thin coats, I'll get back with you guys and show you what the next color is going to be. Hey guys, so we're on to the next color over here, and we are going to be using Dawnstone. Shake it all up. I'm going to wash off our brush and get it from Eschen Gray, get all the colors off and everything. And this is I kind of do kind of a a wet paint on this one, so I'm just going to get some off. I'm going to use my painting palette here, kind of get on there, and I'm just going to kind of go over the outside edges, maybe a little on the middle. Same thing on these, just kind of use the edge of my brush to kind of pick up some of the outer edges, kind of stream it along here as well, kind of underneath, make it go this way, kind of get a good blend. But yeah, pretty much using that extra color right in here, just going over the outer edges of all of this. Just kind of give it a little bit of a look. It's more of a kind of a wet dry brush, but it'll actually pick up and everything on the colors that you're looking for, especially on the big rock here. You want to get the sides just like that. Just it's kind of a wet blend pretty much. You're just kind of getting it on there. Different angles here, kind of make the rock look like rock. And so we're going to do this, and usually I do about 1 coat of this, and so I'll do it over all of the rocks that I have, and then we'll go on to the next color, guys. So hope y'all are learning how quick and easy it is to paint. Well guys, on to the last color. We're going to go to Administratum Gray, and that'll get our last really our last shade on there that we want. It'll kind of give it a much of a lighter shade. So just like before, use your painting palette, get some on there, and you just kind of rake it over there just a little bit. Just it's more of a quick just bam. Take some time to get used to. You can use some practice on painting stuff, but just like that. Hope you can really see it there. You got the highlights and the edges kind of picking up, and it's kind of doing a blend, so it's basically you're looking like rock. It's not all one color. I got a little bit too much there, but that's okay. It's hard to see. Just like that. Kind of blend it in here. Move your brush around. Get the back edge. Kind of all just, you're just trying to get a different wet textures on there and just kind of trying to brighten it up or darken it up. And if you look at it from a distance, looks like rock. So it's not too bad. Let me finish up on this one real quick. Once you get to this stage, you're not really putting a whole bunch on, so it's a little quicker and easier. But just like that, you get the small rock, get the small rocks going here, then kind of work your way into the big rock. Big long one, you kind of want to head up the edges. Small rocks are getting a nice good blend, different colors on there. Boom. Hope y'all are seeing that pretty well on the camera. Just like that. You're really starting to see, looks like kind of a muddish with that Agrax earth shade on the base. So you got a little mud in there, gives it a different texture because all the different blends and stuff. We basically kind of wet painted everything and have everything really wet on there. And you got the rocks. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some static grass all over here so we can look like it's some grassy areas. And so I'm going to get all that equipment out. We'll come back and I'll show you how I do static grass real quick. Well guys, got my big bucket of static grass and some Gale Force 9 super glue. So I usually like this stuff, usually dries pretty well. And don't forget some tweezers. So initially what I'm going to do, grab a base, get some areas that I think would be great to have some static grass on. I'm just going to load up the super glue. And you're going to want to do this on multiple areas, but I'm just going to show you how to do one and then, you know, kind of give you the basis of how to do it. So, and just like, I'm just going to dump a whole bunch of static grass on there like that. Kind of smush it in just a little bit. And then what you want to do, guys, is I kind of tip it over my bucket a little bit, just like so. Kind of tap off just the excess. And if y'all can kind of see that, you kind of see it looks like dirt, mud, a little bit of static grass, kind of makes it look like grass. And that's kind of how I did the trees to get all this. I got the trees done like this. And this is part 1 of this episode, so stay tuned to part 2. And what we're actually going to do is we're actually going to build a bigger base to put all the trees on top of it with rocks, grass. We're going to be using static grass, the flock type grass, as well as rocks, and also the basalt and everything to create that mud look. So it'll be a larger area of terrain that we can utilize, especially in 8th edition for 40K, or any kind of game you want to play where you want to have movable pieces of trees. So I'll get this all done, put up a video at the end. Here will be kind of a display of just one of these wrap around the motion videos I've been doing lately, so you can kind of see what the whole effect will look like when they all get done and painted up. And don't forget, guys, check out part 2. And when part 2 gets done, this video will definitely have a link below in the comments, so you can go see part 2 on how to do the actual large area base that I'll be working on too. Appreciate it, guys.